of Wrestling This Trash, a nonsensical podcast where we talk about wrestling's past, present, and quite possibly the future. It is a momentous day in the world of professional wrestling podcasts because this very podcast that you're listening to has reached episode 100. And it's amazing. It's a milestone. I never thought this shit was going to do it. Big thanks to the man to the middle, to my internet left, real world right or some shit. Nick
Anicelli. Right the first time.
Yeah. For kind of helping me brainchild this thing by having long, lengthy conversations with me on the phone and me asking why the fuck we not recording this shit. It all started back at episode 6, I think. You came to the house. We started talking about some pay-per-view or some shit. What was that? You remember?
We talked about Wrestle Kingdom in 16 because I remember we were talking about AJ Styles potentially showing up in the Royal Rumble, which he did.
Yep.
And then Wit, I think, started in 18?
Yeah, it started in 2018 or whatnot. And big shout out to the homie Anomaly or whatever who was holding it down with me, kind of on a consistent basis. He would come in, he would be like my New Japan correspondent and whatnot. So big shout outs to Anomaly. Jay Sandlin, he was the one that came on with me and do a lot of watch alongs and stuff. We watched the first ever War Games or whatever, the Deadly Alliance versus the Stinger Squad and shit. And just the cattle cave of motherfuckers that came in and out the doors or whatever. I appreciate all y'all. And to the current crew that's here live and kicking it and whatnot, this is Wrestling This Trash, and we about to kick this bitch off. What's up? We got Lou from the BX. How you doing, my friend?
Lou from the BX in the house. Everything is everything. Good, chilling. Happy to be here for episode 100. Thank you guys very much for adding me to this show. It was kind of like you eased me in. It was like, hey, you want to come on? You want to come on? You want to do another? Oh, you posing? You want to do another episode? Want to do another episode? Next thing I knew, I was like on the show, so which is pretty fucking cool. So I appreciate that. Thank you guys very much.
Also, semi-rotatable guest cast member or whatever. We got Mike here on his Razor flip phone.
Well,
say hi to everybody.
Looks like good to see you guys. Thanks for having me and everything. I mean, this has been. I remember that B-Rob was saying in episode 1 he didn't even really know what the heck to talk about. He's just like, I don't really know, and it was explaining about wrestling being trash, but then how pretty much any kind of talk can be trash talk. So enjoyed the trash talk with you guys. Sometimes it's about whether I'm on a computer or a Razor phone, and sometimes it's about wrestling and whatnot and all those kinds of good things. So it's good to be here with you guys.
And now we got to clear the floor because this is a man that needs no introduction because he does his own introduction. Sir, the floor is yours to do so.
And I brought out the pyro. I'm sorry. I brought out the pyro. I brought out the smokes.
Oh, she got pyro and theme music.
Your mom's favorite fat guy. All the way from deepest seat tonight. Definitely glad to be a part of this team for sure. I first jumped on Wrestling This Trash actually after I was on the Random Ramblings with Rob, which is I met the brother by way of I think hashtag Blackout followed me.
Yeah.
And I seen him interacting a lot. Then I heard you on their show. Then I was like, yo, you know what? This brother's acting. Let me invite him to my panel discussion. It was 2019. This team, B-Rob came through in 19. Now these dudes are my brothers for life, along with and Mike over the years, and getting to chop it up here now on a. It has been dope. It's been the way to fix on a weekly basis, and yeah, because that show don't talk wrestling like I do, so I'm still glad to be a part of it.
Yeah. So I mean, Wrestling This Trash really started you know, what it kind of evolved into was, you know, like Mike said, I didn't know what the fuck I was going to talk about, but I knew I wanted to talk about professional wrestling. I didn't want to have a structured format or anything. I just kind of wanted to make it a safe haven for the boys to come in and just bullshit and talk about wrestling like how we would do on the phone or on the text or whatever the case may be. This is where we come to kind of hash out everything and just speak about the world of professional wrestling. One that has been blowing up as of late with the WWE, because one Vince Kennedy McMahon Jr. has retired from the helm as CEO and head of creative. So thoughts around the board on this one, because I can tell you for one, when he stepped down initially, my brother, you know, we cool or whatever, but he know I'm a wrestling fan and he's not so much into wrestling, but he texted me out of the blue. It was like, did you shed a tear when Vince McMahon stepped down? And I texted him back. I was like, fuck no. I've been waiting for this shit forever. You know?
Yeah, for real.
Man,
I think we've all been waiting for a long time, and I know we're gonna dig into the new era, but just watching last night was a hell of a difference. You know what I mean? Just something that was well overdue. You know, you gotta, I guess, thank him and say F him at the same time, but thanking him for the good, but F him for the bad, which definitely in the past 15 years probably did a lot more bad than good, but brought us all entertainment. But yeah, I know I'm amped. I know I'm amped to see, you know, because you gotta be with the times, and that man was not with the times.
No. What you got, Luke?
Not at all.
it's easy to say he's not with the times, yet he created the last 20 years in professional wrestling. Well, in sports entertaining. Professional wrestling, different story. But he kind of created the times. He actually out of the generation of people that are on TikTok that we see on a daily basis that but are just really WWE people and only talk WWE. So a lot of the good, a lot of the great, and definitely a handful of the shit, if you get what I'm saying. Like, we could talk for years about the early 90s, terrible gimmicks, like the gobbledygooker, Bastion, and Duke the Dumpster Drosy, and shit like that. But then we could talk again, took what Starrcade 83 was, which most considered made WrestleMania, and we all seen what happened with what WrestleMania at the core for the transformations of the what up, Brian?
What up?
You know, but from the blue cage to the silver cage to the TLC match, which they kind of took pieces of what ECW. Much more I could keep going on and on and on about with Vince. That you know, I still say thank you, even though personal life, Vince, you some scumbaggy things.
Yeah. Mike, what you got? How you feel about the situation?
So, I mean, I think definitely time, you know, for him.
And I think, again, Lou, we
Well, honestly, you know,
can't hear you, Mike.
It's been a long time coming. Honestly, you know, I can say that as far as what I want to see goes, because, you know, yeah, Vince McMahon has been responsible for many, many, many positive things in wrestling, sports entertainment. He's made a lot of money. He's made billions for the company. You know, you have to say that because he's been the one in charge of everything. He's had the chokehold on creative. He's been booking everything, ripping up, you know, notes minutes before the show starts. He's in charge. So if you're going to give him the bad stuff, he's got to be responsible for the good stuff too, right? And I acknowledge that. But that man has been out of touch for a long time. When you decide to call your pay-per-view stupendous and keep saying stupendous, it's stupendous. We have to stupendous. It's like, bro, who talks like that? People don't use that verbiage anymore, yo. Like, it's things like that where a 77-year-old man is just not going to be in touch with what his demographic wants. So it's time. It's time for some, you know, new blood. And again, Triple H is not exactly the youngest dude, or neither is Stephanie, but I would feel like they're more in touch, especially with the things we saw with Black and Gold NXT. If we could get some of that onto the main roster, I'm gonna be sold.
Which I'm pretty sure we're gonna, because there was already a tweet that went out saying, I know we'll go back, but saying pretty much that Triple H wants to make a big creative splash at SummerSlam if it feels necessary, like if it feels right.
I saw that.
So he's already got it. You know what I mean? He's already got his head where it needs to be. And I think, you know him, we're all sitting here saying the same thing. You got to think Triple H in the back of his head was like, I'm waiting.
But you know what though? I'm with you. Folk always call me Mr. Negative when it comes to WWE. If there is anybody on this page from the WWE, it's me. But as fans, I don't want them to just jump out the window. Here's everything. I'm shooting my own up from 40 like Steph Curry in one shot.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. I mean,
yeah,
everybody thought when the news was set that, you know, he was retiring, which was like, you knew it was real, but because it came from Vince McMahon's official Twitter account, and that thing doesn't tweet anything, you know, like
happy birthdays
like that, just happy birthdays.
It's
so
Yeah.
you knew it was real when that shit happened, but at the same time, you know, I know y'all have talked about it before, and I talk about it a lot, to where like we are conditioned to want what we want right fucking now. Look, Lou, we talk about Amazon every fucking day. When as soon as I hit the fucking pay button, your purchase is accepted. I expect that shit at my goddamn door within seconds. You know,
and the guy, I want it brought to my bedside and opened for me.
Yeah. Take all the paper out.
That's the microwave culture, you know, that we live in. You know me, rap music. It became that for the rap music from past the ringtone era. It's become a what have you done? And that's it, in professional wrestling, especially with all these dirt sheets and stuff, which we did do a show about. Everybody thinks they know and wants everything to just keep flying them at them at this pace, where it's like, yeah, when do some of y'all step back and become a fan again?
Yeah. And we talk about that a lot, but before we even move on to a little bit more of this, but what I wanted to know was like, what was your reaction whenever you first heard the news? Because like I said, for me, I was like, fuck yeah. So Mike, how'd you feel about the thing?
I mean, the thing is, I think that it was like good for the company, you know, and the thing about it is, I mean, I'm with Dan when it comes to acknowledging Vince McMahon and what he's done for sports entertainment. I mean, obviously, you know, there's been a huge, like, indelible, like, staple, you know, in terms of the business and the kinds of changes he's made. But I also remember, I mean, the fact that you guys could do a whole episode called That's Racist, where probably 80% or more of it was about WWE stuff, and, you know, definitely rightfully so, for everything from R-Truth representing the Confederacy to Ms. Zark Henry. I'll just let y'all Google that one. I probably shouldn't say anything more about that. But, you know, Vince McMahon, you know, he's kind of a guy who is, you know, definitely like, you know, Republican leaning. He's more kind of, but more of like the kind of extreme positions, you know, and that kind of thing. I mean, his wife worked in the Trump cabinet, different things like that, you know. And look, guys, let's be honest. I mean, SmackDown, your vote's totally gone away, you know, when the political affiliations have kind of gotten stronger, you know, one way or the other. So, I mean, that's something that we're thinking about. But I was initially surprised, though, because what it told me was these allegations are really bad. You know, not just, no, he paid some women and did some hush money and whatever. I mean, now you're looking at, what is it, $14 million that supposedly came out of the company coffers instead of just like him, you know, paying them on the side. It's like, what the heck, dude? What are you doing? And, you know, now he's out.
You said racist. You haven't been listening to us, because Lou and I did a whole.
Well, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
I thought he said we could do. No, he said it was sold out.
Oh.
No.
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
We did.
You rebut into something he actually said. which
Yeah,
makes
that's
no
what he
sense.
said.
He
Y'all
said
did
he
an
was talking
episode.
about the episode
Yeah.
we did specifically.
Yeah.
Thought he said
Get that smoke out your ears, homeboy.
Yeah, you guys are
one
right.
of the
You know,
one of the first initial reactions to me, it was like, I'm happy for the performers. I'm happy for the performers because especially all of them, which there's been tweets about, whatever. Triple H is the reason a lot of them are kind of there for some
Still
of them.
there,
Like they
yeah.
worked under him in NXT and all that. And there's already tweets going around that talent from just other talent that aren't with the company anymore said they might still be there if he was there. And you got to think people might consider going backward. But that's what I thought because with Vince, everyone was walking on eggshells. Like, perfect example, I bet you Ricochet, he lost the title. He was probably like, well, I lost the title, so like, are my days kind of numbered now or what? I feel you're not going to have that, or the size thing. Like someone like Ciampa who just got called up was with The Miz. I see that ending very soon because he's one of Triple H's boys. Shit, he's a mini-me of him with the beard and everything, right? But you know what I mean? And then, Lou, as you said, that promo he cut after the thing, it was great.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think you're going to start seeing, like, everyone's going to walk in like, I think I have a chance here. I'm not 6'6", 280 pounds of muscle. Like, I'm not what people think everyone should be, like a Roman Reigns. I think I got a shot now.
Damn.
Yeah, honestly.
yeah. The thing is, people that.
Go ahead.
Oh,
continue,
I was just gonna say, like, you look at, let's say, for example, Liv Morgan. I'm seeing some really weird tweets, guys. Where it's things like, oh man, I guess her run's over. Oh man, look how he did Bianca in NXT. I'm like, am I the only one that remembers the whole undefeated thing? And how she was like undefeated for like 300 days. Where was she done dirty? Why should we believe that Liv is going to lose just because Triple H is taking over? If anything, Austin Theory should be afraid.
Yeah,
Yes.
one of the main things that was funny to me, and I'll get to what my reaction was to his news and after this thought, but the funny thing to me were the people tweeting, oh, tonight it's going to be a totally different show and yada, yada. I was like, fam, you expecting on the first night for there to be like, no, bro. First of all, according to reports, the show was already fucking written for yesterday. So it was already done. I'm sure that they did some tweaks here and there, but it was already done. So
just like Dan was saying, I believe they're going to play everything out until after SummerSlam.
Yeah, of course.
As you should
do that. That makes perfect sense.
The only big thing I could see happen at SummerSlam is maybe a return or something like that, or maybe a debut, or maybe the little thing like maybe Brock was intended to win, and maybe he still might very well, but maybe Triple H is like, I don't want to put the strap on, homeboy.
I thought for sure Edge was coming back at the Madison Square Garden shit Monday or whatever.
Yeah.
But
real quick, my initial thought to Vince's retirement was, Tony Khan better watch his ass. That's all I'm gonna say. And I hate to be that guy, but I've been saying shit about Tony for the past few months about his writing and how he's booking shit and little things that he's doing, and he needs to be very careful with some of his stars now, because there are a lot of people who like Triple H. A lot of people don't like him, but a lot of people really fucking love Triple H and working with Triple H. And once these contracts start coming up, now it's going to be a matter of time. They got a lot of fucking money, bro. They can offer people a lot of money to come back, and it's going to be a whole different thing. 6 months from now, WWE just might be a whole different thing. Mm-hmm. So he needs to be very careful.
Or just even join WWE, like MJF. I could definitely see him jumping. I mean, because after that whole like fire that he did with Tony Khan, and oh man, what'll work? We're getting so worked when he called him an effing mark and all this. Where is he?
Yeah.
Like why haven't we seen him?
My first thought with all these superstars is my two guesses, but one I'm really stern on. I think give it 6 months, Karrion Kross is back in WWE.
I think
that's what I think. He had a really good relationship. He had a very good relationship with Triple H.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scarlett gonna have to.
It's gonna be very interesting.
Or maybe a Johnny Gargano.
It's going to be very fucking interesting when you see people like Dakota Kai, who are still in limbo, Johnny Gargano, who's still in limbo, Candice LeRae, who's still in limbo. I mean, not Io Shirai. I meant
Kairi Sane.
I meant someone else. But either way, all these people who are kind of like stuck in, like, they didn't really know what direction they were going. Now, with Triple H, who is familiar with all these people and brought most of them in, you're going to see some call-ups and you're going to see some things, and it's going to be very fucking interesting.
And just to think, like, and then I want to hear from you, Rob. I feel kind of cut you off, all of us, but you got to think about this. And I'm not saying it's going to be like this. Just think about this. As a fan in the 90s, one of the big things that everyone liked in the Attitude Era was DX. Triple H and Shawn Michaels. And to think one is running NXT and running WWE. The big thing, as we all saw as a problem, was Karrion Kross, right? I'm just using him, or a Keith Lee even, right? Someone who is Triple H was like, I know what I have to do with this person. And they did that, and it went over, right? Both of them. Keith Lee especially went over in NXT, right? Keith Lee was the one we were like, yo, you can't mess this one up. I promise you. Then you get Bearcat and the whole 9, right? But so you got to think Triple H and Shawn Michaels think the same. So they're going to talk. Yeah, they think very similar where you might see some changes on the main roster. You very well might, but it's not going to, I don't think you're going to see these drastic ones.
Yeah. So to me, this reminds me of back in the day where I used to be really, really into video games. Obviously, because I was a younger man, I didn't have as many responsibilities. But when they had the games out for NCAA football and basketball and everything like that, I used to love those fucking games. One, because college collegiate football is better than pro football to me in some aspects. But
LSU,
you damn right.
You wish.
But you can play NCAA football with your character, created character, play him all the way through 4 years of college or whatever. You can draft him into Madden and can continue playing with that character. That's kind of what I imagine this NXT Shawn Michaels and main roster Triple H thing is. Shawn Michaels got him at the NCAA level. He's going to craft them and mold them, get their stats up and whatever. Triple H is going to draft them to the main roster, and they're going to continue that career. I mean, you're going to evolve because, I mean, anytime in wrestling, that's what you do. But, I mean, that's kind of what I equate this whole thing is. They're going to get them here. They're going to streamline them. They're going to start them up, and boom, they're off and running on the main roster, doing good things, doing lucha stuff.
Yeah. And I think you might even see some backstage people come back, like maybe Road Dogg, Triple H brings him back. But one thing I kept seeing online, and to not dive into it too much, is people are like, oh, dang, I wish Regal didn't sign. He could have came back. But I like Regal where he is, and I think he's exactly where he perfectly belongs. Because if you're a true wrestling fan, you want to see everything succeed, right? I think we all do. I don't think any of us here want to see AEW or any company, right, fail. None of us want to really. There are some out there. We talk about them plenty, right? But I like that he's there, especially because Regal knows the way he thinks. And I think you're going to have that in their boys. You're going to start seeing that friendly competition. And as Lou, as you keep saying, which I definitely agree with, I won't speak on everyone, is, Tony's got to start managing more. Well, you got someone who works right under you that knows what the head of creative of your competition, right, is thinking. So that's what I like. I think this is going to build even more of like a friendlier, maybe not to the fans, obviously, because everyone's like, but friendlier competitions.
Dan,
and I like that.
If I can hear you.
You can hear me.
Oh, yeah, you go.
Right. Chris.
Aesthetically, after SummerSlam, moving forward with the reign of Triple H and creative and talent acquisition and whatnot, do you think there will be any change aesthetically to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown?
Like I said, it should not be right away. It should not be right away. Slow, gradual steps. Like everybody keeps mentioning AEW and Tony needs to watch out this, that, and the third. I'm still on the page of we need to stop. I get it. We want the product to be tight. We need to stop ragging on a 3-year-old company. Allow them to take their bumps and bruises. They're going to fuck up. They're still new. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're still new. And you're going against a company that, if we're taking it from Vince's calendar, is 40 years old. Possibly 70, 80 years old.
Yeah.
This is my whole lifetime. I mean, think about it. Vince McMahon, from 82 till now, 40 years of my life.
My life, if
your whole life
years.
was control of one company, was the man of one company. And we're looking, a lot of fans out there are looking for Tony Khan to do the same thing in year 3. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so the same thing with Triple H. He just got the reins. We know what he did with Black and Gold NXT.
Even that was
Let-
overtime.
He's gonna have to now. This is the other problem within all of this, because this is part of why I think Vince is going down as hard as he is because when they decided to go public, now you have people to answer to. So Triple H now has people on the business end that he has to answer to before he starts making these drastic changes. So slow it down, people. I'm happy just like the rest of y'all because we should get improvement. But that man's got a board to answer to.
Mhm.
It's
See, I
not
think
like-
everyone's just excited though. I think
Yeah.
everyone. Fox. There are already reports that Fox and USA executives are already excited that Vince stepped down and that Triple H has got it.
absolutely. But once again, microwave culture needs to slow it down.
Yeah.
Put
Oh
this
no, I
shit-
definitely agree.
Put this shit in the crock pot. Slow and simmer.
But and
Nothing
that's
better. Nothing better. Hey, and nothing better than a crock pot meal too. To be honest.
and that's another thing too as well. Just as you said, as long as I have been alive, Vince McMahon has been running, Junior has been running this company. So when it comes to advertisers and executives and all this other stuff, all those other people up the top that dealt with Vince for 40 years or more, they knew what they were getting. So they knew how they had to strong arm him or push him into certain positions. This is a whole nother fucking animal. Not only do you have Triple H, who really, I mean, you know who he answered to, honestly and truly? Fucking Stephanie McMahon. He answers to his wife. Really,
Yeah.
So it's going to be a trickle down effect. So they're going to have to deal with Stephanie, and just perception from what I've heard and from what I see or whatever. Stephanie looked like she don't take no shit.
I wanted to say if there was anybody that I trust out of this, it's definitely Stephanie. I really do trust Stephanie McMahon behind the helm there. Because like you said, B-Rob, she definitely looks like she takes no shit. But the factor of she grew up in almost every stage of the company.
Yeah.
Just like her father, there is nobody better to be the CEO of that company.
And I think she's gonna want change because she's dealt with all that toxic shit. We're over here talking like about McMahon and these affairs. Look who's the daughter of all that. You know what I mean? I feel she wants a nice palate cleanse of all of that.
With your point, with that point being said, I want to get into some stuff that's been floating around my mind. I'm gonna be talking about it a little bit more tomorrow as well. But Mike, what do you think about how all this shit happened? Well, I mean, we can say the genesis or the start of this ball rolling was when Sasha and Naomi walked out the door. Then not too long after that, we start hearing the shit about Vince and then the investigations and all these other things and whatnot. To me, in timeline wise, it started with Sasha and goddamn Naomi walking out. Do you feel, because to me, this is perception. This is what it looks like on my end. This looks like this was an inside job. Like somebody said something to somebody and somebody was like, hey man, we can't have this shit going on. This is where this is where Shane McMahon opened up the lockbox and all the info come out and Vince McMahon takes the fall. So what are your thoughts on that or whatever? Do you think it was an inside job or just shit finally caught up to him?
Well, I think it's kind of a combination. I definitely think that it is an inside job because all I can think about is, working in, my job, my line of work and stuff. Even though you're working with, students, and you're working with teachers and all kinds of stuff, there's all kinds of politics and there's all kinds of situations where someone goes, oh, well, such and such gave someone else, a role in leadership or something like that. Or, someone else, let somebody off the hook and they don't have to show up to work, till noon every day, those kinds of things. Right. So then all of a sudden people start talking and then it just kind of trickles down or trickles over and it ends up saying, crap runs downhill, and so in this case, some people say, oh, well, maybe, Sasha and Naomi, Vince and John Laurinaitis, they were doing bad things to them too. Like, I don't necessarily think so. But what I do think is that, Sasha and Naomi probably noticed some of the stuff that was going on. And so it was like, oh, well, John Laurinaitis let this one person do this and this. And, there's all these kinds of speculations going on. And then you hear that Vince McMahon has the affair. Who knows when Laurinaitis goes, hey, you know what? I'm not the only one. Vince McMahon's over here having an affair, blah, 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 blah. The thing, guys, you got to think Mortal Kombat, okay? It's just Nick Khan moving a tower, That's the thing. You know, it's just taking out one, and then all of a sudden you got to take out Vince, and then or you take out John Laurinaitis, and then I don't know, Bruce Pritchard. Maybe he's like Goro. Maybe he's got multiple arms. You know, he's like harder to defeat for some reason. He hasn't gone now, but everyone else has in that Mortal Kombat tower.
Kevin Dunn.
Yes.
For me, as much as I like the conspiracy theory you've cooked up there with Sasha and Naomi, I think it might just be a little bit deeper because it seems to me from the beginning of this, I felt like someone wants Vince to like be completely out as far as selling his majority stakes. Like they want, like if it would have just been Sasha and Naomi or something like that, getting him to retire probably would have been the end of it. But it's like then he retires, and then on top of that, now this new report comes out about the $14.59 million or whatever it is. And on top of that, HBO Sports is working on some kind of documentary about him, and they're talking to women and ex-divas and all that shit. They're trying to pull them all in to do this report. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't even know if this shit's true, but it just seems like they really want Vince, because I don't think he's going to go to like jail or any of that shit. But I think somebody really wants like his shares. Like they want him to sell his majority shares. He'll still probably have like a lot of shares in the company, but they want the majority like of his shit. Yeah, that's just what it seems like to me.
Yeah, well, from what I understand, this is Nick Khan's MO, that he comes into these companies or whatever, gets a position, and he helps them acquire more assets, get rid of things, streamline the product, then he sells off the fucking company, then he moves on to the next thing. You know, so I mean, that's what this looks like. Because I mean, as soon as he got signed on, that's when they had those massive fucking budget cuts, those massive roster releases and whatnot. I mean, WWE already did a yearly roster cleanse anyway, but these were like every fucking quarter, you know. So it's just like
they basically released NXT.
Yeah, pretty much. So I don't know. I mean, it looks all kinds of weird or whatever, but I don't know. It just seems to me it's like that happened, and then after that, everything just down the.
I think we can all agree the McMahons probably aren't celebrating any holidays anytime together soon.
No. And then like you know, really even before that, so it was which came first? Was it Sasha and Naomi? Then Shane was quietly let go, or he left?
That was
Shane
before.
was first.
Or that was
Shane
was a few
and
months
Vince
ago.
said he'll never get another pop in this company again.
Wow.
And you know what's crazy about mentioning Nick Khan? I think the wrestling world kind of predicted was eventually going to happen with this guy coming in for exactly what you said, B-Rob, is he's known for this. He's known for breaking this down. And then the first, 2020, 2021 set of budget cuts, roster cuts, where they cut almost 240 something people, something like that. We all pointed the finger at Nick Khan and nobody else.
Yeah.
We knew this was coming. So this definitely was an inside job, because how did this just happen to just come out of thin air, especially with them first reporting it as consensual sexual arrangement that he paid this woman for? So somebody inside knew.
Yeah.
Somebody inside knew.
Also, Brian brings up a good point here that I'm going to put up on the screen. Vince actually has an opportunity to sell WWE to himself because he and his family have the voting majority.
Oh, geez,
I have an idea. I have an idea on that, actually, guys.
Going to do that, though.
Oh, you have an idea, Mike? What you got?
I'm just thinking from a creative standpoint, especially since Triple H is in charge. So Vince and Stephanie, you know, they've actually taken each other on in a match or two before. And so I was thinking about this, guys, because, you know, they may not be getting along at family parties or events coming up soon. But what you do is this, y'all, because I don't know. I think that Dan is definitely right when it comes to like there's businesses and stocks and there's stakeholders. But what they could do is at WrestleMania, you have a custody of WWE ladder match. How about that? You know what I mean? And just whoever can win.
No, that is as bad as Judy Bagwell on a pole.
Hey, man, I mean, we might have Buddy Murphy on the pole here pretty soon. You know,
hell yeah, I want to see
Rhea
that.
Ripley and Aaliyah.
Oh yeah.
Or Buddy Matthews, should I say?
I didn't even remember that happened. People were saying Aaliyah, and I thought they were talking about the new girl who's like 19 or
whatever.
Yeah,
the NXT Aaliyah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets weird. They're gonna have to change her name. She's gonna get a name change now because now we got 2 Aaliyahs in the fucking company.
I did like the little
It'd be nice
thing
if she
there
got a
with
match.
with Rhea wearing that "I'm Your Poppy" shirt too. Nice little touch
was
to
nice.
everything.
Kicking Ray off camera and shit. Like, what the fuck?
Well, Nick,
Yeah,
I'll tell
it
you
was-
what. I'll tell you what. You know who's gonna love creative? I was thinking about it, Aaliyah, actually, right? Because I think right now she has like let's say it's a $200,000 to $300,000 contract where all she does is come out every week on SmackDown and get a women's right. Like I honestly think that's written in her contract. Like, that's literally all she does. She like comes out and acts really excited for the match, and then Lacey promo, and then posts, and that's pretty much the contract. So anything on TV has to be better than that, I would think.
I mean, let's think about this as well. Aaliyah has been on the roster damn near 10 years. You ever thought about that?
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
She realistically is probably one of the longer tenured people that people just don't think about.
Mhm.
She was in NXT for a minute.
Yep. 9 fucking years of experience. All
Who do you
WWE.
guys
It's like right
see
now, I'm still not thinking about her.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that she's been there that long.
Superstar wise, who do you guys actually seeing potentially suffer from this with a new realm of creative?
To suffer
Like,
from
do you
this?
actually think someone like Theory is actually kind of done for because of
No,
this?
I don't think so.
Nah.
I'm
If you
honestly, in the slim minority that really want this motherfucker to cash in and win them damn belts.
I do.
really
I
want
you know
that
what's
shit.
funny?
Not
I
at
know that
SummerSlam.
I know that last night's show was already written or whatever, according to these reports. But like, if you actually look at the show, Theory was actually booked pretty like a badass. Like he went out there and he fucking wrestled, bro. Like he was out there with Bobby, he was out there with Drew. Like he was actually putting in work. Like he wasn't just doing heel shit and getting his ass beat and running around like a little bitch. Like he actually was booked well. Like
except that slap to the back of the head.
Yeah. Well, dude,
yeah, that's some.
Yeah.
They tried
That
to
was
sun
funny,
him.
though.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
well,
But as far
they're
as
doing
when
that
he was
WWE
wrestling, they actually did a
Yeah,
good job.
Austin Theory can go. He's a phenomenal athlete, but they're doing that
Yes.
WWE trope thing or whatever. If you got the money in the bank, you're gonna take a lot of fucking L's because they want you to look like a piece of shit until you come running down that fucking aisle with the briefcase and everybody's like, "Oh, he doing the thing," you know.
Yeah, because remember, even with Seth, when Seth won the briefcase,
No, honestly though,
he opened it, he got slimed, he lost all those matches to Ambrose, he lost the Hell in a Cell match,
He
got
lost
his
at
ass
that
beat.
WrestleMania to the greatest RKO
Yeah, he lost-
ever.
Yeah, and then cashed in.
Mhm.
well, at least until Riddle did it at the last pay-per-view. I mean, my God, that RKO was insane. You know,
Man, Riddle-
that was
crazy.
incredible.
Riddle can go, man.
Well, one thing you said,
Oh, yeah.
Nick, one word you said, Nick, is if there's any change that I want to see out of this company, is the word superstar. I know Vince was trying to do something different, and I've been preaching this all over my fucking TikTok for as long as people ask what type of changes you want to see. I want to see Triple H allow them to call these people pro wrestlers again. If you are calling this a pro wrestling show, please allow them to be called pro wrestlers again. The reason why I say it like that is because not everyone is cut out to be superstars. And even within Vince McMahon's own product, he even said it himself. He had trouble making new superstars, but yet you force the label of superstar on everybody. Yes, they might not be able to walk the streets like the common individual like us can, but not all of these people are superstars. Yes, he delivered us The Rock. He delivered us Austin. He delivered Hogan, Cena. The list goes on of people who actually became superstars, which is bigger than the company itself. Not everybody in this company is going to do that in their lifetime. So please just change their name to professional wrestlers again. Change that one little thing, and WWE, I will fucking wave the flag at full staff for good.
Well, I mean,
Man, I'll write a 500-word essay and send it to Triple H
I mean,
tonight.
even to that or whatever, it's just like we know about the list of banned words and things they're not supposed to say on air. I wonder how drastically, or if at all, over time, how the commentary is going to change. I mean, we already got Pat McCaffrey in there, daggone, saying whatever the fuck you want in context, of course. But I mean, I like that shit, you know. So I'm
Bitch-ass
wondering.
Corbin,
I mean, even
right?
Michael Cole even sounds just the slightest bit different, you know.
Look
these
at
past couple days.
Xavier bringing up New Japan Pro Wrestling
And
on
Ring
a
of
fucking
Honor.
WWE show.
And Ring
Like
of
what
Honor.
the fuck? Like I was like, what's he bringing up Ring of Honor and New Japan at once? Like what is the balls on this guy?
I like
And
that.
the week after the TV14 announcement, like you said, Pat McAfee, bitch ass Corbin, like they already went for it. So yeah, get rid of that list. Rewrite
I'm
it.
ready for that name on the graphic because he said it so much now. You know,
Mhm.
saying
Hey, 'cause
Pat
you're-
versus
hey, you're-
bum-ass
hey, you're-
Corbin. It's just
hey,
gonna say it.
With Triple H in charge, you know Cody Rhodes definitely don't give a fuck about saying whatever now because he didn't give a shit when he first came back in his promos. He's gonna walk out there and say belt, professional wrestler. He's gonna say all that shit.
Cody, as Cody corrected himself, he had to get back. He had to warm himself back up into what, as he said, the lexicon of the WWE and their lingo. He had to remind himself because he couldn't help saying pro wrestler, I'm sorry, superstar. Like,
Man, doesn't it kind of suck that Triple H can't go now? Because now that Triple H is like
No.
kind of the head of
No,
creative.
no.
I mean,
No.
he had his plenty of. I mean, he
Yeah.
had
It kinda does.
plenty of shit to do, bro. He did
I
plenty
mean,
of shit.
I'm pretty sure later on down the line. I don't know if 100% for sure that they said he can't ever wrestle again. I mean, they might be saying that now, but they said that about Edge, Daniel Bryanson, and a
Yeah.
whole bunch of other motherfuckers. And years later, they were able to come back and do some more matches.
I don't
know what I
know,
would
man.
like?
I don't know about that
Well,
heart
he had a
thing.
heart
though.
thing, though, right?
Yeah, I don't know about that heart.
Yeah,
thing.
I don't know
That's
about
kinda
that.
different.
you
But
know
then
what I
again,
would
we
like
got-
out of it?
Was it?
You know what I would like out of it? For him to go backwards and right his wrong against Booker T. That's all I would want.
That ain't gonna
I
happen.
feel like he's
You know
gonna have
what,
to with Triple
actually,
H
I
in
would-
charge.
you
It's
know
like,
what,
so
actually, I
about
would
that
like-
throne, Cody.
You know what I
It's
would
like,
like? Actually, I would like Booker T back on commentary. I fucking used to love when Booker T was on commentary. He used to fucking say the funniest shit. Like I wouldn't mind him coming back and doing that shit at all.
Nah, I'm good.
You want
No,
you want
the
Yeah,
only
I'm
time
about
Booker T was good on commentary was in TNA when he daggone commentated his own fucking run.
His own ass beat.
Well,
It's
okay,
just-
no, in the part
that
in the
shit
part
was
when
funny.
Mike in the part when Michael
And
told
against The
that
Rock,
he
didn't he do
suffered
that?
from anal when he said he suffered from anal bleeding and Booker T was just
What?
See, Lou wants the Shucky Ducky Quack Quack back. Now
You
you know what?
goddamn-
You know what
Remember
would
when
be
Sin
fun?
Cara was there and they had the both of them, the both Sin Caras or whatever? He's like, hey,
Yeah.
that's the real Sin Cara. How you know? He got a spot on his boot.
You know what would be fun, Lou?
Sounds
since
funny
you
to
mentioned-
me.
You know what would be fun, Lou, since you mentioned that? Have him and R-Truth do a show together one time.
Jesus.
That would be absolutely hilarious. I think that would work.
Because R-Truth
Have an all black night at WWE, which they'll get all 5 wrestlers in one show. Street Profits versus Usos 211 for the main event. It'd be a dope show.
Yeah, because Truth's hysterical, man. Truth's one of like maybe 5 people that made Brock break character on TV when he made him laugh when he said he was undeclaring his match from the Royal Rumble and talking shit about Paul Heyman. R-Truth's that dude, man. He's still so funny.
Killing
Mike.
it on TikTok.
No, you talk about what's called Booker T on commentary. Imagine him with this whole Ezekiel Elias stuff or whatever. He'd be like, no, I'm telling you, he's definitely the same guy, man. It's definitely the same guy, or it's 2 different guys,
Yeah, he wasn't
like
even,
there's
and that's one thing too. Where the hell was Ezekiel this week? I was actually all the shit that's going on Raw. I actually like that fucking angle. I think that shit is hilarious.
Same here.
But I think I'm hoping that the it's entertaining as that was. They need to cut that shit the fuck out and get
Yeah,
back to
it's
the
gotta
wrestling.
have an end game. It can't
Yeah.
go on forever.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of got to have an end game. I agree on that.
I mean, they've
and
had
also
the end
please
game
get end
already.
games.
Elias
Please eliminate
was on
Happy
the
Talk
goddamn
forever.
show. He did moves and slapped the dude with the guitar. That was the end game. That was it.
Yeah, but what
It was
about Elrod?
and Ezekiel?
And they never
Elrod.
introduced Elrod.
Fuck
They got to
Elrod.
introduce Elrod.
Fuck
Man,
your
fuck
live. Nah, we don't need that.
Man, fuck that whole gimmick. That shit is tired.
Nah,
now.
we
I'm
done with
sorry.
that.
Man, you don't even watch Raw. How the hell are you gonna sit here and talk shit?
Because
I don't watch Raw. and I'm
TikTok,
still
Nick.
talking shit.
TikTok, Nick. Thank you. I see all the
Get
clips
the hell
on
out of here,
TikTok.
TikTok. Now you sound like one of them wrestling fans. Well, the guys on the internet said
It's like
this,
half
no,
of
I don't
Raw,
like this.
Dan. So I
No,
understand.
you have to have your own damn
I don't-
opinion. Watch the show.
I don't need to see more. If people are posting the whole entire part that they're on TV, what more do I need to see? Do I need to see Street Profits versus Usos talk in the ring for the 300th time? No.
I ain't with
Sometimes
that
you
shit.
do.
I ain't with that
Wait,
shit.
I have
You
a
can't. I
point
don't
when
know.
it comes
I've
to
always,
creative.
I've always been like that. I've always been like that. Unless you watch the actual show and everything that goes into it, clips don't do it.
So
That's
clips
just
don't
my
count.
personal opinion.
All right,
I
well,
have one. I have one.
What the hell happened?
When it comes to that, I was
I don't
thinking about
watch
one
that
thing.
shit. That's what I
I was
was saying.
thinking about one
I
thing,
don't-
guys. When it comes to what should change on the show. And yes, Dan, we should not have the Usos and Street Profits promoting for the 300th time, whether Jeff Jarrett hits them with guitars or threatens to or whatever. But what really needs to change, and what some people were saying, and I noticed kind of last night about Raw, is that there's less of this what I'm going to call progressive match flow reality. Because they always tell you progressive match flow, and they show you like these different highlights from SmackDown. You're like, oh wow, this flows pretty well. But if you actually watch, it is just like mind-numbingly bad sometimes because like they come out, for a promo or something like that, and then it's like commercial, and then someone walks to the ring, and then there's a commercial, and then there's a little bit of action, maybe for about 2 minutes, and someone gets knocked out of the ring, and it's like, oh, blank is in control, and they go to commercial, and then they come back, and then there's a couple, different like big moves or big spots, and then they go to commercial. Sometimes it's picture-in-picture, sometimes it isn't.
Definitely.
Most y'all is
So
DQs. It doesn't have to be
So-
DQs, and half of this.
So
No,
on that
definitely.
point,
agree on that.
on that point there, let's talk about changes and let's go around the table and what are some changes, immediate changes you would like to see, Lou?
Ooh.
I wanna go once again. Thank you, Mike, for mentioning because that's one of the biggest complaints I always hear is you lose everything within commercial breaks. So adopt what AEW does in the picture-in-picture throughout the whole night. And don't give gaps unless like how TV works, you get your block of national commercials and then unfortunately you lose them to the local commercials. But that's it. Lou, go with you, Lou.
So are we doing like the 3 immediate changes things that we had in the note app?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about three
Yeah,
immediate.
three
Because that's
changes.
kind of it's kind of like
Okay.
the same thing.
All right, I
Yeah.
only gave one, so yeah, that sounds good. Go ahead.
I mean, okay, so again, this is just something that I kind of like be my own booker in my head type shit. So this isn't like it's more or less things I'd like to see, but I know is probably not gonna happen. But it's just shit that I would like to see. So the first thing that I would do, like if I was like Triple H in charge of creative, the first thing I'd do is I would introduce like a kayfabe general manager, who a GM who's like been put in place by the shareholders to run fucking Raw and SmackDown. We're changing everything. We're redoing our entire roster.
Well, do you think they
That's the
should
first thing.
empower Adam Pierce, or you just want somebody completely different?
Get him the fuck out of here. We need a new guy. And the reason I want a new guy is because if the shit doesn't work out, he says he's been put in place by the shareholders. He can just be, they can get rid of that shit. They have an out to get rid of this shit if it doesn't work out.
Okay.
The second thing I would do is unify all the titles. Every fucking title's getting unified. Heavyweight title, tag team titles, it's all going to become one title. We're redoing all the belts, and it's going to be one belt. You're going to have one heavyweight champion, one tag team champion, one women's champion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. U.S. champion, Intercontinental champion. That's it. And the champion has to be on both shows defending fucking whenever it is that they need to defend, however they want to work that out. Because this whole 2-belt shit, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you said unify all the titles. So would the Intercontinental and the US?
I
be
was
together?
thinking to keep them two separate because they have
Yeah.
prestige behind them. I kind of
Yeah,
like
one
the
for
prestige
Raw,
of
one
the
for
titles and the
SmackDown,
lineage.
One
Yeah,
for Raw, one
one
for
on each
SmackDown,
show.
or just okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
have one on each show.
That makes sense like that because those two should be the workhorse titles.
Yeah, those are like
The
TV
old-
titles.
The only discrepancy I can give to, well, not discrepancy, but pushback I can give to that is you have to get the two networks to play along together to make that happen. I agree
Yeah.
with you. I totally agree
yeah.
with you because, again, as I mentioned in past episodes, it's WWE Universe. So make the one championship for one of the major ones and make them your touring brand champion. They just have to work it out between the networks. We get this person for this amount of episodes. We get that person for this amount of episodes. But
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's
point.
that's what I was saying. With you're gonna have one heavyweight champion, he's gonna be on both shows. We're not gonna have this one champion only shows up on one show bullshit. No, you're the champion of the company. If you're gonna be the champion, you're gonna put in the work and you're gonna be on all the fucking shows. You're not gonna be part-time. This part-time champion shit doesn't work for me, pal.
Yeah,
We're not doing that shit.
They kind of did it backwards, you know, because like
it's
whenever
like you're the champion and you work less than anyone. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying to that aspect or whatever. So like the benefit of having two separate channels, I mean not channels, champions for either brand, one heavyweight here, one heavyweight there, one woman here, one woman here, is for touring purposes. When you're out on the road, you can have an A squad and a B squad. You know, you can split the United States in half, and half go this way, half go this way. So everybody gets a champion on their show potentially. But they doing that now with only, you know, they got unified titles. So it's only one champion. There's no A squad, B squad in that aspect. And
they're not touring like that really anyway, right?
But when they were in the Thunderdome and not doing tours and not doing that shit, they didn't do that then. They still had the two champions and all the other stuff. They're doing it ass backwards, you know?
And lastly, just to finish my thing up, the third thing I would do, very simple, rehire the CFOs to do the fucking music. Bring those fools back.
That's debatable.
Pay them whatever they need to get paid and let them handle the audio, bro. Let them do all the themes.
Yeah, I would definitely take them over what they have currently, but I mean, still, that's just kind of that was kind of hit and miss. But
I honestly don't have I can't think of too many themes I can think of more themes I love than themes that I really don't like from them.
Yeah, they put out some good ones.
They had some fucking bangers.
Best one was Aleister Black.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Corbin's
Aleister Black. All those themes.
Yeah,
we could go over all those themes. They were bangers, bro. Most 90% of them NXT themes all bang.
Well, Nick, it's on you. I realized I actually did two within the course of our conversation. It's on you, Nick.
So one, which I think we've already referenced a few times in the past 5-10 minutes, which is serving. Build the tag division. Actually give a fuck about your tag division now. Right? You have it. You know you have teams out there. Yeah, you might have to make some teams, but let's put in some work into the tag division. I definitely think you could. Even last night, a lot of people online were happy with it. I don't know how I feel about it, but the potential AJ Styles, Dolph Ziggler tag team, you know, I love AJ. I'd rather him just be on his own personally, but I think they could be good together. But give a fuck about the tag division because at one point it was really good, especially when you had two brands back in like the early 2000s and all that. So I definitely think you had it, and we've seen it before. I think Black and Gold had a pretty decent tag division. You know, I think we can all kind of agree on that. So I definitely want to see that. The next one, this one might be a little harder. I don't know how, but Triple H was on Stone Cold show in like 15 when he did it the first time on the network, saying if he had a say in it, he'd make Raw 2 hours again. And I want Raw to be 2 hours again. I think Raw would benefit a lot from a 2-hour show just in general, because even Lou said it last night in the group text. Decent episode of Raw last night, right? Decent one, you know, better than most. And still, it's like, fuck, there's a whole hour left. Because even when I watch SmackDown and I watch Dynamite, by the end, I'm over it. No matter what company it is. After 2 hours, now pay-per-views, whatever, all that stuff's different because, you know, they're just different. But, like, when Dynamite comes on, when SmackDown comes on, after the 2 hours, I'm like, all right, man, like, I'm good. Like, I'm good. I want to go do something or whatever it would be.
And then I really, you know, I wish more people would flirt with it. The hour and a half, you know, I like that aspect of it as well. It's just like you got a good core, you know, period of an hour of wrestling. Then like hell, the last 30 minutes could be like the main event segment or the main event in general or whatever. And then boom, you out that bitch.
Well, you know why that works for you, B-Rob? Because you are there for the wrestles. If it was an hour and a half, you get no story builds. A tight 2 hours, it works.
Hey man, you tell the story in the ring.
There's another debate we can have about do they truly do that? We're not having that debate right now.
But
And
you know
then-
what? Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, it's more like along that, but I'll bring it up whenever I get over here. Go ahead, continue.
And then thinking about it, I'd say the last one is just simply both companies started it during the pandemic. AEW continued it, and I like that they continued it, is having more themed pay-per-view like shows during the week. That's probably one of my top 5 favorite things AEW does. Like, I think Fight for the Fallen's this week, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it gives you something to go into, just like when NXT, they do it now, but I don't watch NXT crazy much anymore. But still, they do the Great American Bash. Like, try that on the main roster. See how that works. Not just for viewership, just to give a F more. Now, it might not work as well because they do a pay-per-view every month where versus AEW, they do the 4 big ones a quarter. Yeah, they do the 4 big ones. But still, maybe cut back, like, or even certain things, like even if it's like, all right, it's Christmas time, like whatever, a big Christmas Eve Raw.
Mama's cooking chicken and collard.
Instead of oh, it's Halloween, it's Halloween, let's do a Halloween street fight. Maybe not saying make it Halloween Havoc, but build it up as like, hey, this is the Halloween edition. We're gonna have blah 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 blah. Like stuff like that, because I think it works. It will always work better with AEW simply because they do the 4 shows. Simply because of that, but make it a reason to actually want to tune in.
Well, that's in storyline. And you answered your question yourself. Like, because the WWE does pretty much a pay-per-view a month, they run. I would say to your point is build better stories leading to them more than the theme. More than the theme, which I like the idea, but just build better stories.
Rob, what you got?
Nah, you can go ahead, Mike.
All right, so I mean, these are definitely some great ideas. Like I said, the whole thing is I definitely need the matches to flow better. I'm not saying that it has to be like, oh, it's this formula or that formula, but maybe stop having a complete formula because I feel like it's like predictable. I'm like, yep, I'm gonna go to the bathroom because they're going to commercial, they're coming out. Okay, you know what? Then I'm watching. It's like, oh, someone's in control. I even know from where the camera moves. The camera moves, like zooms in. Oh, they're about to go to commercial. Let me go. And I can do it. Work because it's so predictable. The results aren't predictable, but sequences of the matches are.
They kind of
I feel
are.
like, you watch Raw, especially SmackDown, y'all. I mean, you can like read that like a book, pretty much, and. It's sort of like a question of how long the main's going to be. It's like they drag it out sometimes. It's like, okay, it's 8:40, then they come into the ring, all right, and then they go to commercial, and then, it's like 8:50 or 9:50 or whatever, and then they finally have a 10-minute match. But sometimes it's coming out, just kind of talk or whatever, the Usos and everything, and it's big entrance, and it's like 40 minutes before the end of the show. God, how far they sometimes, y'all, I'm not even kidding, there's a 6-minute match. I have no idea how that's possible. I really don't. But so the second thing I was thinking of is I think, at least with the champions, I understand the touring and how you have to have, different rosters and different places to go and stuff like that. Everyone go to every city. But at least televised programs, I feel like it'd be more, and I feel like it's becoming increasingly so with at least this unified stuff, that people switch shows. I'm not saying some people are like, oh yeah, they should just end the brand split. There should just be one show with like 78 people. Like, I don't think that's a good idea. But I do think that it makes sense if someone's the U.S. champion, especially since they do all this talk on social media and there's all these different opportunities for them to interact. Like, why not? Why not someone challenge you? You know what? Like Roman did. He said, you know what? Why don't we just go and see if we can take those Raw Tag Team Championships or whatever? And now it's a mess and it's like 4 belts going everywhere and there's really like no direction with it. But the idea is correct in that, they can switch shows and that they can interact with each other. Because I hate this idea of like, oh, but he's on SmackDown, so he's talking crap, but I can't do anything about it because he's on a different roster. That's weird to me, especially when you see Undertaker show up at UFC and Pat McAfee show up at UFC and all this other stuff. But in the universe, we can't actually fight each other in different places. I'd be like, well, Thanos is in a different region, so I can't know anything about it. Sorry, guys. And so anyway, I think that that's really important. And then I think the third thing, and y'all, this will probably end up being a whole debate episode based on what I'm going to say. But I really think that at the very least, like Sasha, Naomi, some of these other people that were either done dirty or supposedly done dirty, allegedly, whatever the case may be, making overtures to people that aren't signed yet, that aren't under AEW contracts, and bringing them back. Because I think that's going to establish like goodwill from WWE. I think it's going to help with the reputation. It's going to make Triple H different as opposed to, oh, well, Vince and Bruno were beefing, so they didn't talk for 20 years or whatever the crap, I just think that this will be like a new era, and it's one that's more like inclusive and one that's more, open to people returning. And I think that's also going to build the momentum for Triple H. But if that's impossible, all I would say, folks, is just another round of NXT call-ups, like figure out a storyline, of course. Don't hit row this. We're going to come out, this, 3 minutes, and then basically do nothing. That's going to be the creative, But if there's a plan for a group like Legado de Fantasma, or if, there's something like I've even seen Santos and Elektra, saying different things. And I think she was backstage at Raw. I could have sworn. That's what the post on IG looked like, at least. It was like that little ring where they have like the interview with the random person where you're like, where does that even happen? I don't know. But it looked like that. And, I just think that there's potential for some of these NXT people to move, people level up, and Valerie Loreda, different things. So I think that some of these people that have been there, like Toxic Attraction even, can come up and they can make a splash on the main roster.
The one thing I want to say to your point of allowing the other talent, the older talent that used to be there to come back, let that happen organically by way of they're not in contract, they re-talk shit. Because to try to start bringing them back now or within a year, it's like, okay, you're now giving fan service to everybody who was upset when they left the first time. You got to give new story for them, new everything. But I think your idea of figure out what to do with NXT people, they've been preaching that this is developmental for how long? You feel me? Like they've been preaching this developmental.
Yeah.
Actually show their development.
Facts.
Well, especially with Level Up. I don't know if you guys watch this show or you've seen this
Every
on
now and
Peacock.
then.
It's like Level Up, and and the idea is, there's a few matches and they can get up to NXT. I don't think anyone's really leveled up, and they take out all their vowels when they call it that level up. But it's like I don't think anyone's really leveled up. It's just a bunch of people that either are already on NXT fighting every week, or people that no one's heard of, and there's really no development. It's almost like
that's like the gimmick test, right?
WCW.
Yeah.
It's giving
that,
people a shot.
Not really going anywhere. It's just kind of stuff that happens and connected to anything else.
Yeah, well, some people just need a shot. That's really all that is. Just like
Yep.
Dark and Dark Elevation.
They're working
That's
it out.
Go ahead, B-Rob.
Yeah.
One, let the motherfucking commentary do commentary on their goddamn own. Get rid of them fucking buzzwords and lists and all the other shit. Let them talk about this guy was a champion in New Japan and Impact and all this other stuff. Let them have just giving them beats and kind of letting them roll with it. You're already doing that with McCaffrey. Let everybody do it. Don't just limit it to him because he's, well paid and shit, and he can do whatever the fuck he want, kind of, in a way. Two, give me some motherfucking wrestling. God damn it.
Yeah.
I want
No modeling.
Yeah.
I want to see wrestling. I want to see motherfuckers wrestle. Stories are cool or whatnot, but I'm here for the motherfucking wrestling. I mean, you can compel me with a good story. I'm not against it whatsoever, but your fucking job, the shit that you all right, you can train for promos or whatever, because you got to get better. You got to increase your vocabulary, expand your vernacular. See, I just did that. I use words that I don't normally use, but you're a fucking professional goddamn wrestler. Wrestle, goddammit. Let them wrestle. That's what I fucking want to see.
So no tennis collection, B-Rob? You didn't
No.
like the tension, I take it?
No.
Fuck
Three.
them. They didn't accept my thing.
3. Use all your assets. And when you use your assets to promote your assets. What I fucking mean. Everybody jump on my goddamn neck about this. Lou was kind of alluding to it earlier. And Mike kind of brought a small little point. Level Up. Advertise that shit. Goddamn BTE. You're doing storylines and all kinds of crazy shit on BTE. and you do pay him off on TV, but nobody knows what the fuck is going on because you're not promoting BTE. I know that's kind of by design, and everything. And BTE, honestly, and for truly, is what started AEW. It formed that company. It was built off the back of BTE and the Bucks and all them. So if you're gonna have shit, use your shit. The goddamn Tommaso Ciampa promo. Why the fuck wasn't that on TV?
I don't understand.
I know it was a WWE.com exclusive or whatever. You want to drive freaking eyes to your website and things like that. That's understandable. So you put content there. But shit, it could have been a little ticker tape thing across the bottom of the screen, or just like a little 30-second clip or a 10-second clip. Hey, this was on WWE.com. This is what this motherfucker said. Just have him riled up and be like, cut it off. And they'd be like, what? What? I want to hear what the rest of the shit he said. They go to your shit and they check it out. That's how this shit fucking works. We get on motherfucking AEW about how is this motherfucker in the top 5 ranking and shit. Well, one, because he had 30 fucking thousand matches on Dark and Dark Elevation, but you're not promoting that shit. You're not bringing that up. I mean,
you're like, how the fuck is what's her name? How the fuck is she number 1 contender every week? What's her name? This guy's wife.
My wife.
Strong's wife. Roderick Strong's wife.
Shafir.
Oh, Maria
Shafir, yeah.
This bitch number 1 contender every week. And you're like, what the fuck? She never wrestles. But when you watch Dark, she's on there every week whooping somebody's ass. It's like, who knows that?
Honestly, guys, I wouldn't even know about Dark or Elevation or any of that kind of stuff. Like, at least the results, if it wasn't for like Joshie Lopez and Pro Wrestling Transcriptions and different things like that, because that kind of gives you the nitty of, okay, and this is how it happened. But I mean, you don't see that. What if there was just a snapshot commercial? Marina Shafir showed the problem, on Dark. So what's going to happen on Dynamite? Like, wait, what's this Dark thing? And then people start looking, and they could even do like TikTok snippets. They could do all kinds of advantage of that.
They do that as far as the internet snippets, but y'all is speaking exactly to what B-Rob is mentioning. Talk about them on your main product to get the eyes over there. You created these things for us to watch. Not everybody who is a non-hardcore is going to go searching for it.
Yeah.
But if you consistently tell people weekly basis, you have this free stuff on YouTube on your main shows, then people will want to dive into it.
Yeah.
And it'll work. It's going to work because it's shown in like March, April, when Dolph Ziggler was randomly NXT and won the title, and they were advertising at Grayson Waller was on Raw. When they were showing them on Raw, NXT's numbers went up.
Yeah.
So I bet you if AEW obviously did the same thing, Dark Elevation's numbers are going to go up.
And AEW
just like when AEW advertised that one Friday when SmackDown had their 2.5 hour show, AEW did like that half-hour thing on YouTube or whatever. Yeah. They had all those viewers. Like, it's crazy when you advertise shit what happens.
Yeah, well, AEW kind of does a better job at it because they do reference stuff, but it depends on the commentary team with AEW. Sometimes they switching it up, and sometimes because if Excalibur is there, you getting all the motherfucking information in like 3 seconds. But if it's like Taz and Tony or whatever, they don't really talk about too much of the other stuff or whatever. And
JR is just JR's up there just babbling.
Yeah, he just woke up from his nap and he come out the last
Kenny
hour.
Omega, the WWE champion.
But this is about
everyone says JR's just kind of.
This is about WWE, and to what B-Rob said, it makes sense. Like Lou just said, hell no. Do you watch Level Up? I don't think none of us truly watch Level Up. With B-Rob was the exception. He says once in a while I'll tune in. I got the network. I don't think to tune into it at all because they don't
forget it's a thing.
Exactly, because they don't even do a job to remind you of it. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what B-Rob's speaking to.
And then
the only time I know is because I follow
Nikita Lyons. If it wasn't for Nikita Lyons, I wouldn't even
stuff like
pay
that,
any attention to NXT.
And then another thing about it, just it gets on my nerves a little bit or whatever. But when I present you with the evidence or whatever and give you a means to view said content, you tell me no because it's not on Raw or AEW. I'm talking to my
shots fired.
but it's just like,
It wasn't us. It wasn't us.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
not us. Let's just get
so
that
it's just
clear.
like, well, I mean, and it is not just to poke fun at Cody. Yeah, I'm dropping names, or Paul. I'm dropping names, but it's just like there's a whole lot of people like that, and I don't fucking understand. It's like, why would I watch that? It's not on Raw, or, it's not on TV or whatever. I was like, but you watch all these fucking streaming services. It's the same goddamn thing. You just pull it up and watch it. What's so hard
B-Rob,
about that?
If it ain't main roster,
Well, and
it don't
Peacock
count.
doesn't advertise Level Up
word
either.
Word to Wrestle Talk. If it ain't main roster, it don't matter. And that it sucks that people are like that out there.
Yeah, I mean,
but-
why would you close your mind off like that or whatever? I mean, it's just like, I don't fucking get it.
It's the
Dude,
difference-
it's not.
it's the difference between us and casual fan.
Like, you know, it's nuts too, because you're so right with the main roster. And this is where this is not taking a jab because I watch Rampage, but it's like, think about this. Like, this is where people don't consider things, and they say it's in that tight circle, right? About 1 million people, we can argue 900,000 to 1.1 watch AEW every week, right? 2 million watch SmackDown. I'd say probably 90% of people watch WWE watch each other, vice versa, for the most part, right? You're already watching wrestling, and then Rampage gets like 400,000 views. It's like how? It's on whatever. Yeah, it might be on at 10 o'clock, whatever. No, but it's only an hour. And it shows like that's that bubble, though, that people don't want to leave that bubble. Like, you'll complain AEW doesn't have a second show. It's like, okay, they do. Yes, is it taped? It's only
shows.
yeah,
Nick,
And
but
they
it's
don't
like
watch.
that. You know what I mean?
And Nick, it boils back down to what you mentioned before about Raw being 3 hours. A night of SmackDown to Rampage. I'm usually sleep by the second hour of SmackDown. I'm just keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? And some people aren't fit to. I'm gonna throw it to you in a second, B-Rob. Stand back there, catch that pass. But some people aren't fit for past 3 hours. Hence, people complain about AEW in a 4-hour pay-per-view. Not to bring AEW back up again, but once again, remembering you're getting long pay-per-views from them because they're giving you 4 a year. So it's like a special treat. Everyday wrestling, yeah, I might not want to tune into that third hour, just like Lou turned off that third hour of Raw. B-Rob.
Sure did.
But you goddamn sit there and binge watch motherfucking Netflix for 3 fucking days straight, but your ass can't DVR a goddamn wrestling show. Fast forward, rewind, nothing. I don't fucking get it.
Do you see
How
what
is this
happens
possible?
when
Well,
B-Rob
one thing
could
I will
talk?
say, I'll say one thing about Rampage.
When B-Rob
Rampage's
could talk on a
problem
podcast.
Rampage's problem number 1 is that it's not at 10, and number 2 is it's fucking taped. So all the results get leaked out on Twitter. Everybody already knows what happens, and they're like, "Why the fuck am I gonna stay up and watch this shit? I already fucking know what happens." Like,
Don't read them.
Only
And
the
see,
hard-
and I
only the
say,
hardcore-
I say, oh, sorry.
no, it's
Don't
cool.
read
It's only the hardcores who want to actually see the physical match. Maybe like
Yeah.
Rob will probably tune in and watch it. But if you already know the results, you're just gonna be like, "Eh."
And that's what I've noticed. So one weird random thing I've noticed, right, is that I met more because I'm in Cali
Hold
now.
on. I don't mean to cut you off. We got this comment here in the chat.
And I still got to give my turn.
As a barber, I love this podcast because it has every stage of beard growth.
Ah,
Oh,
I ain't got
that's good.
shit. But no, so you know what I noticed?
I can't
It
get on
sounds
lose
very
level,
weird.
man. That's the thing.
I
And
just
think
trimmed
it
mine
makes sense.
down.
Clean mustache. He's like, he grew it out. Oh, it's nice. I
my
like
shit
it.
is my shit's getting there.
Mhm.
So what I meant though, and the way I really justified it was when I went to Double or Nothing. I think they're happier, and this all has to do with timing. Happier and more happy with every show's product, West Coast people than East Coast people, and I think it's simply because of the time. Because Raw for me is from 5 to 8. So when it's starting for you, well, granted, it's all the same time. It's live, right? But when it ends for me, realistically, it would have just started for you. And that's the same. Like with me, SmackDown, I watch it from 5 to 7, and then I put on Rampage 7 to 8. I honestly think the time zones really make a difference when it comes to that shit.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the
Does.
people who are at Double or Nothing with me. Obviously, we're West Coast. We're on the West Coast, and it was a topic of conversation in line talking about it. Because I remember being like this when I lived on the East Coast. I wouldn't stay up all those hours of Raw. And on SmackDown, you know, I'm still younger. On Fridays, I wasn't watching SmackDown from 8 to 10. I was going out. But here, it's like you can do all of that shit before you do anything.
Yeah.
That's why I personally, just not just wrestling, just sports as a whole, I love it. Like me, I'm a Pats fan. They come out at 1 o'clock Eastern. I don't sleep in. So for me, football, I can watch my team from 10 to 12:30, and then I'm good for the day. And now, granted, I watch football all day because that's the person I am. But it's just, I think timing really is a big deal.
All right. Now, I'm gonna get my points out.
You know, I'll talk about that, Dan.
Okay. No, go ahead. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. Make your point off of this, and then I'll give my 3 finally.
Okay. I was going to say, yes, I definitely noticed this, you know, being on the East Coast, you know, say like, you know, even staying in Florida for a few days or whatever, you know, I think it was during the weekend, and SmackDown was on. I only made it through like half the show because it was on till maybe like Rampage is on from like probably 10 to East Coast time. I was just going to say, you know, I think we're kind of in the sweet spot in a way, B-Rock in the Houston area, because, you know, you're talking about, you know, our time, Rampage at like 10 or 10:30, you know. So I mean, that's really not bad. The complaint that we have when it comes to watching sports is, you know, Astros games, because it's an AL West team, so you end up going to like Oakland and Seattle and Anaheim, and so those games start at 9 and they don't end until freaking midnight or 1 in the morning or something to watch that. I bet I'd be very unhappy if I had to watch, you know, that late.
All right, we don't care about the Astros. They, you know about these eye watches, but I digress. But nah, man, yeah, you're totally right about the time thing, especially when you're thinking Monday Night Football shit like that, man. Yeah, y'all get the advantage West Coast wise. But my 3, even though I mentioned a few already, I'll just kind of repeat the superstar aspect. Not everybody is built to be a superstar. Call them professional wrestlers. Call them what they are again. Number two is just take your time in a new beginning. Take your time.
Whole new world.
And because everybody mentioned all the shit that I probably would have thought of, said that's why number 2 was a freestyle. Number 3, within taking your time in this rebuild, rebrand these motherfuckers back to the names that y'all allowed us to know them by.
Yeah.
Please stop that shit. I'm dead in the camera. Stop that shit of Walter Gunther, Piper Niven to Juicy Drop.
Juicy Drop.
Stop.
Dewey.
Stop that
That's my
shit.
girl.
That's why I call her Juicy Drop, but I digress.
Dewey,
but no,
Dewey.
but please stop that. Please stop that shit, because for how many years did we learn Walter by Walter? But you want to repackage him as Gunther to Mike's point before, make it sound a little more racist. Nah, not racist, but more along the lines of that, you know, Nazi supremacist, playing on the fact that he's Austrian, i.e., like the Mustache Man from back in the day.
Yo, can Big E get his last name back?
Langston, I like Big E. Polish. Big E.
He wants
Big
it,
E.
though.
Wait.
He wants it.
If the man wants it, I think Big E earned the cachet to kind of get what he wants in some sort of a way. Just like how Roman Reigns, even though we don't like it, I think he's earned the cachet to have the time off he did. He did just battle lupus a couple years ago, all that good stuff. But please stop with the name changes. If you are developing talent from NXT to call them up by what y'all allowed them to be known as. Not try to repackage, rebrand them, murder their whole momentum and their whole movement. Bush. I don't mind the Butch
man's whole
Butch.
career.
You know what I'm saying?
Bro,
I don't
that
mind.
Butch shit.
I don't mind Butch because the way the character is being played, it's like a little badass kid that you would think of
Yeah.
in like the
He's like the Al
80s.
Capone.
Yeah, like the 80s on some fucking like get along gang shit. Like he's the bully of the neighborhood. He's the little hothead.
Scrappy Doo.
Yes, but we know Pete Dunne. He still does the when he's up on the top of the ring. We still know Pete Dunne. We still know Tommaso Ciampa or Ciampa, if you want to, however you want to pronounce it.
Ciampa.
Ciampa. You know what I'm saying? But allow them to be who we got to know them as. That's all
Yeah,
I ask.
that's a
one of
great
them things I asked for.
that's a great point. And I think with Triple H being back, you know, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more stuff like that. We're going to be seeing people transition from NXT, their whole character, not just the body. Because
Music.
this thing where you take a character and then, nah, but you know what? I don't like this, and this. Let's add why? You've already got a guy who's super over. Like I'm so glad for somebody like Cameron Grimes, because the Cameron Grimes, like that character before he was like the $1 million caveman or whatever the fuck, like he was a like country calculated heel. I loved that character because he looked like a dumbass, but his character was smart as fuck and was very calculated in what he was doing and what he was trying to do, like to get himself over. And that's a different character. Like there's no characters like that. And that's a perfect guy to just bring him up to the main roster the same way and let him start interacting with all these guys.
Real quick before we close it out. I'm gonna give you 3 names that I want pulled up right now. 1, Cameron Grimes. 2, Santos Escobar. 3, for my pure enjoyment only, Grayson motherfucking Waller. What you got, Nick?
Waller.
3 people from there right now.
Yeah.
Fuck, on the spot. Probably definitely Cameron Grimes. Let me think quick. The Toxic Attraction, but the tag team aspect of it. Mandy can stay. And then Io.
All right. What you got, Lou?
Yeah, for me, Io Shirai is number 1 on that list. She's been lost on that roster, and she's tremendous.
Yeah.
Io Shirai, I would take Carmelo Hayes and move him up.
Oh, yeah.
I would take, I really like Santos Escobar's group, man. I would want to take that whole group, so I'm going to leave them out. And I will take, of course, I'll take Nikita Lyons. I know she's not ready, guys. I know she's not ready. I know, but bring her up anyway.
All right. Dan, what you got? What's your 3?
I fucks with the EO pick. I like Lou because, like you said, like a crew. I would rather see them come up like a crew. So Carmelo Hayes definitely. But see, with Carmelo Hayes coming, I would also have to say they need to rebuild and bring back a real cruiserweight division with cruiserweight titles to justify the size of those people. The cruiserweight belt worked back in the day. Oh, and side note,
they have a nice cruiserweight belt already. They have that belt. I just don't know what they're doing with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And also too to separate though, like we mentioned, IC and US title. Get that US title working like the European title from back in the day. You got something there. But then last but not least, I'm taking Braun Breaker. When you brought him out, that man was facial wise, body wise, every main roster damn near ready. Bring a Steiner back to Rick Steiner back to a main roster, and he's going to fit in perfectly. And then you think about once they bring him Gabe Stevenson, he's going to be able to work with a cat like him. He can. There's just endless amounts of potential with that kid. Endless amounts of potential. And if you want superstar,
there you go, right there, retired.
And
That's all right. They can unretire it. It's their
No,
universe. Remember?
retired. Leave that shit
No.
where it's
no,
at.
but they have their own. Don't they have the belt that's on 205 Live, the cruiserweight belt, that purple belt?
205
No,
Live
they-
does not
yeah.
exist anymore.
Yeah, 205. Yeah, that is that.
That got retired too.
205, yes, 205 Live got retired as well.
I mean, but
Two-
that
205
belt
Live
debuted
is
on the
level
Cruiserweight
up.
Classic. They should just bring that shit back because that belt was fire. That was a fire belt, bro. That Cruiserweight belt.
Mike, what you got for your 3?
Yeah, that one's a tough one. I think some of y'all are kind of split on Carmelo Hayes. I say yes, bring him up, and the whole reason is because of like the personality. And I would actually take him and Trick like as a tandem. I think that they could both either be like a tag team, or I mean, definitely add some like flair to the division. I really think he believes in the whole A champ thing, and I think that whole A champ thing should just get up there. The U.S. let him be A champ. Cameron Grimes definitely ready to go. Definitely well packaged. I think he can almost be like JBL, but not everyone thinks he's a jerk, and like hates him and stuff. Because I mean, a lot of people did. If we're just being honest, And honestly, it's kind of tough with the women because Toxic Attraction's so good together. But I also think that JC and Gigi can definitely kind of be their own thing, or something like that. So I would just say it's time to bring Mandy up, only because she's been there before. Now you have her under the stead of like Triple H. And the other thing about it is I think she's learned a lot. Even she was saying, hey, I definitely want to come back up to the main roster the other day. She could definitely see a time when that's going to happen. But then also, I think that they need to have kind of like a new sort of push or whatever for who becomes the next women's champion. Whether it's Tiff Stratton, whether it is Zoe Stark, she's back, y'all, if you haven't been watching NXT. There's also an NXT event called Heat Wave in 2 weeks that just got announced tonight. I know. I didn't know either. And the thing is, so many other women that can kind of come up after this battle royal. There's a lot of these different feuds that can ensue from that, and someone new can rise to the top. Let's get rid of the Toxic Lounge and everything else, and let's just have something new for 2.0.
Word.
Yeah.
More
Well.
Asians on the main roster.
Whoa.
Well, I think we well-rounded this out or whatever. A lot of Vince shenanigans talk and whatnot. We didn't have a Waterfall Mania discussion or whatnot because as I said, I'm hatting for Tiffany Stratton right now. She like my NXT boo thing right now. I really like what she's doing.
Yeah. Mine too.
But we're gonna close it out. We're gonna get out of here. The sun has set on episode 100, y'all. I appreciate y'all for keeping the train rolling or whatnot, allowing me to come back in and derail it every now and then. So with that being said, this has been another edition of Wrestling is Trash. And joining me for this edition, Mike, Lou, Dan the Man, the Mayor, and follow the name, Mr. Nick Anicelli. And we'll see all of y'all on the next go round.
B-Rob got the